As you can see, our pumpkins didn't quite survive Halloween night. Because of the freezing and then thawing, they pretty much died. They are destroyed. But we have one pumpkin that we didn't carve, and it is still in pretty good condition. It's a little soft, but it hasn't like melted all over the ground into gross goopiness. So I'm going to be showing you guys how to turn this into some delicious pumpkin soup, because I was reading a study about how 50% of all food, hey ZV, 50% of all food in Canada. Alright, sorry about that. I kind of trailed off there. I was dodging 2 cats and a dog underfoot because our house is a zoo. Okay, so I'm going to start by washing the pumpkin because it has been outside. And then it's probably going to be really messy because it has frozen, and as you can see, it is kind of soft. It's not bad. It has just been frozen and then thawed, just like as if you put it in your freezer and took it out again. But I do have my apron on, and then I have a cutting board and a knife, and we're going to start by washing it and then chopping it up. Probably scooping out the insides because we don't eat the skin. I believe it's too tough to eat. This is not a pumpkin pie pumpkin. So we'll carve out the insides and then we will see what we can do with it. Okay, so we're halfway through carving up the pumpkin. Here are the innards. There's a lot of them. So you wouldn't need more than one pumpkin if you were wanting to do a full pot of soup. This is already going to be very, very full, and I might need to kind of cook it up in 2 batches. But yeah, there's the innards and the other half. Taking a coffee break before I head back into the guts of this pumpkin. Okay, this is a lot of pumpkin. Also, it looks a lot like shredded cheese, which is kind of fun. But this might be too much for this pot, and I'm thinking I'll have to put it into a bigger soup pot. Here is the peels and the spongy stuff that we typically don't eat. I am going to be separating out the seeds and turning them into roasted pumpkin seeds, which is a really good snack, but we'll do that some other time. So I'm going to transfer this, and then we're going to add a little bit of water and set it to boil on the stove. Probably just simmer. I'm mostly just wanting to cook it because it's frozen, but it's still raw. Yeah, and we'll just let it simmer for a bit, and then we'll see what our flavors are like and what we're gonna add to it. Never made pumpkin soup from scratch before, but it's gonna be good. Okay, so this is all that we have left of our pumpkin. We have the rinds, the stem, and a small pile of the, I don't know what to quite call it. It's like the mesh stuff, the foam stuff, you know, anyway, that stuff. It sounds really weird too. Sorry. Anyway, so that's all that we have left from our pumpkin. So this has been boiling for a little bit. I basically just waited until it was mushy, just totally cooked, and it has sunk quite a bit, as you can see. We are now going to blend it up. I'm going to use a hand blender. You can also use your just like regular stand-up blender, but make sure that you can do hot stuff in it, because you don't want to, if it's plastic, like, you don't want to melt it or anything. So just like make sure you can do soups and things. And then I've got a lineup of spices and a whole bunch of other spices, and I'm gonna see what works with it. Alright, so to give this a bit more flavor than just literally boiled pumpkin, we've got some onions, some caramelized onions, we've got carrots, and we've got potatoes, and I'm gonna blend all that up together. I also added in a little bit of heavy cream, and then if it's too thick, the water from the potatoes, which has lots of really great nutrients still in it, I'm gonna use that water to thin this out if I need to. Okay, I finished the soup. It is thick and creamy and delicious. If you are vegan, you do not have to put in the heavy cream. I just added it because we had some in our fridge and I didn't want it to go bad because we'd had it for a while. So I popped it in to stop food waste. Woo! Anyway, so this is the pot. It is a very large pot of soup. It got a little out of hand just because there was so much pumpkin and I had to balance it out with the other ingredients. I did end up adding the potato water to thin it down a little bit. And then for spices, what I ended up doing was cinnamon and nutmeg. For heat, I put in a little bit of cumin, some black pepper, and some cayenne pepper, just a little bit of cayenne pepper. And then, of course, salt. Everything you make needs salt, even sweet stuff. And then I also added in some rosemary leaves for brightness, but ours aren't ground up, so I had to use a mortar and pestle. If you have ground rosemary leaves, that'll be easier. If not, you can put them into like a spice grinder, or even just like crush them with like a rolling pin. But it's easier if you have a actual thing to do it. But yeah, the soup tastes warm, a little bit spicy, but kind of like that fall spiciness. It's very homey. Yeah, I think it's delicious and I'm very proud of myself.